How high can Shiba Inu go in 2025? Is history set to repeat itself? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my 2025 price prediction for SHIB. I'll be sharing my thoughts and opinions as to where I think that price action is going. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. If you are new to the channel, subscribe, and let's take a look at the charts for Shiba Inu. Okay, guys, this is going to be a really interesting video. So here we have SHIB paired up with USDT. We're on the 1 week 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗧 chart, and we're on this particular chart because it has the most amount of data that I could find in TradingView. Now here you can see a really volatile move in 2021, right? And we're going to be talking about 2025's price prediction, but for us to do that, we have to first of all look at the history of SHIB. Are we going to be repeating history? Is history actually set to repeat itself? And if so, how high are things likely to go, right? In order to do that, we have to look at the history, we have to look at the previous bull market, we have to look at the bear market that we've just gone through, and we have to figure out whether or not we are going to be seeing that kind of history repeat itself. So let's take a look at this. Here we obviously have the 1 week chart, and we have data bottoming out in April of 2021, and we can see that that price was down here at 0.000000076, right? A lot of zeros, and we had this automatic rally to the upside. It was 4,953%. It happened within just a few weeks. We then actually had a consolidation phase and then another run to the upside, totaling 11,527% in that short space of time. We're talking going from April all the way across to the October 2021 high. Okay, so some great moves to the upside here, 11,500%. So a lot of people then speculate and say, can we repeat history? Can we do another 11,500%? And of course, that's on the conservative side because we know it was significantly lower. At some points on the decentralized exchanges, you could have picked this up significantly lower and made, a significant amount more. We're just going to use this data as our guide. It's going to give you conservative targets, in my opinion. Okay, so here we can see a three-wave move to the upside that's actually shorter than expected. Okay, and it's shorter than expected because typically you would normally see a repeating pattern. Okay, so you can see here that we got rejected from the 702, and normally you would expect the 1 to the 1.236. Okay, you would expect it to have come a little bit higher to the upside, but the 702 was the resistance. So we're going to note that the 702 has been historical resistance. Okay, this is a three-wave move. I'll go ahead and draw that in 1, 2, and 3, like so, A, B, and C, that fell short. The minimum expectation on these three-wave moves, by the way, is a double top. So the second that you moved higher than the A wave, you kind of met those minimum expectations. Just typically they are supposed to go to 1 to 1.236. Then we have the bear market. The bear market also has a very similar pattern to it, right? Here we can see that we had this initial drop coming into the June lows. So a lot of people thought that was the bear market finished, but that was wrong. And you can see here that we came down and we actually just dropped down lower than 50 and did not go down lower than the 618. Also a very interesting kind of point for SHIB. Again, you would normally typically expect the 1-to-1 to be met, and you'd come down, had come down, or should have come down a little bit lower if you were to follow that principle. But of course, with this X wave being shorter than typical as well, we can actually consider that actually this is actually in line with those expectations. Okay, so everything going on here, let me actually just cancel out that. We're looking okay. Okay, so we have a very nice kind of corrective pattern here. I am going to label this up more as a W, X, Y, X, and Z pattern because that is kind of what happened across the field for the most part, like so. Okay, then we have this really nice run to the upside so far from our lows of June 2023, which is actually the bear market low point. A lot of people thought it was going to happen much earlier. Myself kind of included to a degree, but we could see technically reasons why you had to go down lower. So it was good to see those altcoins really bottoming out last year. Since that low of June 2023, we did see a rally to the upside. This was 818%. So it did phenomenally well, outperformed Bitcoin, most did for the most part, even during that kind of phase of the ETFs and things like that. So Shiba Inu, 818%. If you're buying from the lows up to the high, Bitcoin did 300%, Shiba did 800%, right? So you can't knock it. It's done very well. And from here, you can see it started to cool off. Now, I want to kind of repeat kind of what we've seen historically, the initial runs to the upside, the consolidation, and an additional run to the upside. Now, what's really interesting or caught my attention here with Shiba Inu is the potential here for a new all-time high, but also quite limiting in how it goes. So there's going to be the idea, and I'm going to go show you the big moon boy targets to start with, right? The big moon boy targets are all the way up here. Okay, these are basically looking for history to repeat itself completely, which is possible, of course, but not probable. So here we would look for 0.000575991 up towards the 0.00176,396, right? And from a percentage standpoint, these are going to be very, very bullish, right? They talk about, 11,500% upwards to 34,500%. So insanely bullish kind of targets, right? And it's possible that we do that, but it will require a significant amount of demand coming in while simultaneously reducing the supply. So not the easiest thing to do by any stretch of the imagination. Possible, yes, not easy though, and we want to stress that. Okay, when we take a look at some of these other key areas, we have the 702. The 702 is at 0.000140012. If history repeats itself, that area is going to be an area of major resistance where we did see historically rejection. That means, again, we truncate, falling short of those higher range expectations. From our lows, if we were to see a 702 rejection, we're talking about 2,700% move from the bear market low. If you take today's price at the point of recording the video, then we're only really going to be talking about another 730%. Okay, so again, that's going to grate people's opinions. They're not going to necessarily like it, but it is what it is. Now, if I go ahead and take a look at the structures that are appearing right now, there are some interesting moves potentially playing out. And here you can see what would typically be a 1-to-1 to 1.236 levels do coincide with that 702. So again, it's not necessarily going to be the most ideal situation, and people aren't necessarily going to like this idea, but this is where I think we're going to see our conservative targets for Shiba Inu in 2025. Again, we're looking for a three-wave pattern, and we're going to be targeting out 0.00009788 all the way to 16513. Okay, from the bear market low point, if we were accumulating in those lows, that would be a 1,850% move up towards that slightly higher range of 3,226%. So really not that bad. And if we do take today's price, we'll be talking about a 460 up towards 870. So again, it's not necessarily the best position for Shiba Inu to be in. There's obviously the moon targets, which are nice to have if we were to see a closed position above the 786 or the 702, specifically as we had marked out previously with this white line. Then, of course, we might be a little bit more confident in heading out a little bit further. And of course, if we can get a wick out towards 0.00038,503, well, that changes things quite dramatically, because this would not be considered a three-wave move. We'd have to consider it a five-wave move, and we'd be looking at it through the lens that actually, yes, we do come up to those targets. So there's a few unconfirmed scenarios at the moment, but I wanted to put a video out where we could kind of be looking at this through that lens of, okay, how high could we potentially take Shiba Inu in 2025? And to me, it looks like there are some gains on the table here. They might not be as lucrative as some of the newer meme coins that have come out, as we have seen Bonk do phenomenally well, for example. But these more established meme coins, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, Bonk probably now as well, we will see diminished gains over time. We aren't going to be looking for that explosive move that you initially get. They don't tend to repeat themselves all that often. So I do think this is actually realistic. I do think there's a new all-time high for Shiba Inu. I just don't think it's going to be going out towards some of those numbers that some people are really calling for, such as 1 cent, for example. But when it comes to Shiba Inu, I do think there's some potential gains on the table for this particular meme coin. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, or join us in our free Discord server and let me know what your price predictions are for 2025 when it comes to SHIB. I'm really interested to get everyone's thoughts and opinions on that. If you found this video useful, helpful, smash that like button. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. And if you haven't done so already, check this video out right here. It's not one you're going to want to miss.